Hi there everyone, my name's James and I work for CARE, and thank you to all of you who have liked our Facebook page in recent days or started following us on Twitter. We're so grateful for all of you, and we hope that you have been encouraged and inspired by the Bible verses that we've been sharing and by the prayers that we've been sharing as well. There's no doubt about it. The coronavirus pandemic has interrupted our lives in a dramatic fashion, and particularly in light of the announcement from the Prime Minister yesterday that there is now a much more formal and official, as it were, lockdown that's taking place. At CARE, we're so passionate about continuing to share God's truth with you, to really encourage those of us who perhaps are in some form of isolation or working from home or homeschooling now. Whatever your situation is, we really want to bring God's word to you in any way that we can. And that's really what I want to do in this short video. I just want to share a little bit from Psalm 3, some of the encouragements that I've found from this psalm. Psalm 3 is written by David, King David, the great poet of Israel, the conquering king, the one who conquered Jerusalem, the one who beat God's enemies at the time. He was God's anointed servant. But there was a time later in his life when he was an older man, when his son Absalom betrayed him, when his son Absalom took the throne from him, or at least tried to, and David was forced to flee for his life. He had to leave the palace, the royal palace. He had to leave members of his household as well. He had to go into the wilderness. And in 2 Samuel 15, we're told that he wept as he went. And of course he did. What an unsettling time it must have been. How difficult it must have been. Not knowing if he was going to survive. It must have brought back memories of being in the wilderness as a much younger man when King Saul was chasing him. And he must have wondered, God, what are you doing in this situation? Why have you allowed this? Why have you brought this into my life? Psalm 3 is a short psalm, but there's something that David does in it that is so helpful for us. At the beginning of the psalm, he says, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. Many. You see, David is conscious. He is outnumbered. Absalom has more people with him than are currently with David. There are more of those who are against David than for him. So he's in a very vulnerable position. His circumstances have changed dramatically. He's left the comfort and security of the palace in Jerusalem for the instability and insecurity of the wilderness. And he doesn't know what tomorrow may bring. All of this is bringing back, I'm sure, real echoes for us here today. We don't know what tomorrow will bring. We don't know what the future holds. And our lives have been interrupted, not in exactly the same way, but in principle. Our lives have been changed, and we didn't want it and we didn't choose it. And David in particular finds the words of his enemies hurtful. Many are saying of me, verse 2, God will not deliver him. And maybe there was a part of David's mind that thought, that could be true. Maybe this time God will not deliver me. Maybe this time God will let me down. Maybe this time God will not hear me and help me. What does he do? What is David's response to being in this dreadful situation? The heart wrench, the gutting feeling that his own son had betrayed him. His response is found in verse 3. But you, O Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. Verse 4, I call out to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain. In fact, as David turns and as he responds in faith by looking to the Lord and reminding himself of who the Lord is, the consequence is remarkable. Verse 5, he says, I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. I will not fear though tens of thousands assail me or attack me on every side. Where does such confidence come from? And for us, where does our confidence come from at a time such as this? I think the answer lies in the God that David describes for us in verse 3 and 4. You, O Lord, he says, are a shield around me. God is our defender. He is our refuge. He is the best bodyguard in the business, and he is for us and not against us. David pictures God as completely surrounding him with power and with his might, able to protect him ultimately from the worst possible harm. Or my glory. That is, God is sufficient for him. Glory is a term that means weightiness, value. David is saying that even in the wilderness, because he has a relationship with God, he is satisfied. He is something that is more important to him than the throne that he's left, or the palace that he's left, or the comfort that he's left. He has God himself as his glory. Thirdly, God is his comfort, the one who lifts up his head. It's a beautiful picture of God's tenderness. We know he's our Father in heaven. He's your Father, my Father. He looks after us. He cares for us. And when we're down and discouraged and fearful, he comes along and he lifts up our head, just like a parent does with a crying child who's so upset things haven't worked out the way they wanted. And a good, loving parent will come and will just put their hand under the child's chin and lift it up and say, it's okay. It's all right. It's what God does for us. And then finally, God is the prayer answering God. I cry out to the Lord and he hears me from his holy mountain. David is convinced that even in the wilderness, God will still hear and God will still answer. So friends, a few comforting and encouraging thoughts from Psalm 3. Wherever you are, whatever your circumstances, spend some time today just thinking about God himself. And I pray that his peace will be with you in these coming days. God bless you.